The Mockery and the Mission. Commander Elisa Reyes stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her back straight despite the weight of exhaustion from 5 years of relentless work. The massive holographic display behind her showed her creation, the UES Chimera, rotating slowly in the air, its unconventional design drawing whispers and occasional snickers from the assembled officials. "This is what you've spent 5 billion credits on." Admiral Zhao's voice cut through the murmurs, her tone sharp with disappointment. "It looks like someone melted 3 different ships together." Commander Reyes kept her expression neutral. "The Chimera's design serves specific purposes, Admiral. Its asymmetrical hull configuration and irregular energy signature make it nearly impossible to target with conventional weapon systems." General Decker, a decorated veteran of the Centaurian conflict, leaned forward. "Commander, with all due respect, this looks more like an art project than a warship. Where are the weapon arrays? The shield generators? Hell, I can't even tell which end is supposed to go forward." More laughter rippled through the chamber. Even Ambassador Tlax, the Ardanian representative to Earth, fluttered his gill-like respiratory flaps in their species equivalent of a dismissive chuckle. "The Chimera represents an entirely new approach to space warfare," Reyes continued, undeterred. "Traditional warship design has reached its evolutionary dead end. Every new ship class we introduced in the past decade has been countered within months by our potential adversaries." She advanced the hologram to show the ship's internal systems, a bewildering maze of interconnected technologies that seemed to defy conventional engineering principles. "The Chimera doesn't rely on brute force. Its primary weapons are adaptive quantum field generators that can manipulate space-time itself around enemy vessels. It doesn't need to outgun an opponent. It changes the rules of engagement entirely." Admiral Zhao sighed audibly. "Commander Reyes, your theoretical physics background is impressive, but warfare isn't conducted on a whiteboard. The Varaxians are massing at our borders, and you're proposing we deploy a ship that hasn't even completed standard combat trials." From the back of the room, Lieutenant Maya Chen, Reyes's chief engineer and closest friend, caught her eye with a supportive nod. They had expected this reaction. Innovation was always met with resistance, especially when it challenged centuries of military doctrine. "We've run over 3,000 simulated engagements," Reyes replied. "The Chimera outperformed conventional battleships in 94% of scenarios." "Simulations," scoffed General Decker. "In real combat, soldiers don't have the luxury of hitting reset when their experimental technology fails." The hologram shifted again, showing comparison charts of the Chimera's theoretical performance against standard metrics. The council members barely glanced at them, their minds already made up. Admiral Zhao stood, signaling the end of the presentation. "Commander, the Defense Council appreciates your team's creativity. We'll allocate minimal resources to continue your research, but the Chimera will remain docked at Ganymede Station until further notice." Dismissed. As the council members filed out, Ambassador Tlax approached Reyes. "Your species' penchant for unconventional thinking is both your greatest strength and your most perplexing weakness," the alien diplomat said. "Even among your own kind, you are considered unusual, Commander Reyes." "Is that supposed to be a compliment, Ambassador?" Reyes asked, gathering her presentation materials. "Merely an observation," Tlax replied. "The Ardanian collective would never have approved such an unorthodox design. But then again, we have never achieved your species' remarkable capacity for innovation under pressure." With that cryptic statement, the ambassador departed. Lieutenant Chen joined her commander. "That went exactly as expected. They'll understand when they see the Chimera in action," Reyes said, though a hint of doubt crept into her voice. Had she wasted years pursuing a vision no one else could see? Back aboard the Chimera, docked at Ganymede Station, Reyes called her core team together in the ship's unconventional command center. Unlike the bridge of a traditional vessel, the Chimera's nerve center was spherical, with workstations arranged in concentric circles around a central holographic display. The Council's decision was predictable. Rice told her crew of 23 specialists, each handpicked for their willingness to challenge conventional thinking. We've been allocated minimal resources to continue development, but the Chimera won't be joining the fleet anytime soon. Lieutenant Sanjay Kapoor, the weapons systems specialist, shook his head. They can't see past their outdated doctrine. The Varaxians don't fight like humans or any of our allies. Their hive mind approach to warfare makes traditional tactics useless. We keep working, Rice said firmly. The math doesn't lie. The theory is sound. When the time comes, the ship's AI interrupted with an urgent tone. Commander, priority transmission from Fleet Command. The central hologram shifted to show Admiral Zhao's grim face. Commander Rice, the Varaxian Armada has launched a surprise attack on New Horizon Colony. Our defensive fleet has been overwhelmed. The Admiral's composure faltered momentarily. Their tactics and technology have evolved beyond our intelligence estimates. They're somehow predicting our maneuvers before we execute them. Rice exchanged glances with her team. This was exactly the scenario they had designed the Chimera to counter. All available ships are being recalled to defend the inner colonies, the Admiral continued. The Chimera is to remain at Ganymede Station, as per Council orders. We can't risk experimental assets in this conflict. Admiral, Rice began carefully. The Chimera was specifically designed to counter advanced Varaxian tactics. We've run simulations based on their hive mind coordination. The Council's decision stands. Commander, Zhao interrupted. Admiral Zhao out. As the transmission ended, silence fell over the command center. They're sending conventional ships against an enemy that's already proven they can't be defeated by conventional means, Lieutenant Chen said quietly. Commander Rice stared at the space where the Admiral's image had been, her mind racing through possibilities and consequences. Finally, she looked up at her crew. Lieutenant Kapoor, bring all systems to full operational status. Lieutenant Chen, prepare the quantum field generators for extended deployment. Dr. Harrison, run final diagnostics on the neural interface. Commander, Chen asked, though her expression showed she already knew what Rice was planning. The Chimera was built for this exact scenario, Rice said, her voice steady. We can either sit here and watch colonies fall, or we can prove what this ship can do. That would be a direct violation of orders, Kapoor pointed out, though he was already moving to his station. Yes, it would, Rice acknowledged. I won't order any of you to risk your careers. Anyone who wishes to remain behind will face no repercussions from me. Not a single crew member moved. Well then, Rice said, a hint of a smile forming. Navigator Evans, plot a course to New Horizon Colony. Let's show everyone what the Chimera can really do. As the crew rushed to their stations, Rice accessed the ship's systems through her neural interface. The Chimera responded instantly, its unusual configuration humming with power as dormant systems activated. Undocking procedures complete, reported Evans. We're clear of Ganymede Station. Course to New Horizon plotted through the series jump point, added Lieutenant Wang from navigation. Conventional transit time would be 38 hours. Rice nodded. Activate the spacetime compression drive. Chen's hands flew across her console. Compression field generating. Spacetime fold in 3, 2, 1. The stars outside the viewports seemed to stretch and bend as the Chimera engaged its most controversial system. Rather than traveling through space like a conventional ship, it compressed spacetime itself, shortening the distance between points. Transit time reduced to 4 hours, 17 minutes, Wang announced, a note of pride in her voice. Rice settled into her command station, feeling the ship's systems through the neural interface. The Chimera wasn't just a vessel. It was an extension of her will, designed to respond to thought as much as to physical commands. All hands, prepare for combat deployment, she announced ship-wide. We're about to put 5 years of theory to the test. As the Chimera hurtled toward New Horizon, Rice reviewed the battle simulations one last time. Everything depended on the Chimera performing as designed, not just the fate of the colony, but the future of human defense strategy. "Commander," Chen said quietly, approaching Reyes' station, "do you think they'll finally understand when they see what the Chimera can do?" Reyes watched the distorted stars streak past. "They'll have to, Maya. Because if we're right about the Voraxians, conventional warfare is already obsolete." The Chimera continued its journey, a strange amalgamation of human ingenuity and theoretical physics, racing toward a battle that would either vindicate its creator or confirm the doubts of those who had mocked it. The battle and the vindication. The Chimera dropped out of its space-time compression bubble at the edge of the New Horizons system. The main view screen immediately displayed a scene of devastation that caused even the most hardened crew members to fall silent. The colony's orbital defenses, once considered among the most formidable in human space, floated in fragments around the planet. Twisted hulls of Earth Defense Force ships drifted lifeless, testament to the ferocity of the Voraxian assault. New Horizon itself showed massive impact scars visible even from orbit, its cities burning. "Life sign scan," Commander Reyes ordered, her voice tight. Lieutenant Kapoor grimaced at his readings. Scattered survivor signatures on the surface. The colony's main habitation dome remains partially intact. "What about the defense fleet?" "Detecting emergency beacons from 3 ships," reported Lieutenant Wang. "The Dauntless, Persephone, and Vigilant. All heavily damaged and operating on minimal power." Reyes nodded grimly. "Open a channel to the Dauntless." The view screen flickered to show the smoke-filled bridge of the battlecruiser. Captain Hernandez, his uniform scorched and face streaked with blood, stared back in disbelief. "Commander Reyes, what the hell are you doing here with that experimental ship of yours?" "Saving what's left of New Horizon, Captain," Reyes replied. "What's the tactical situation?" Hernandez laughed bitterly. "Tactical? There's nothing tactical about it. The Voraxians came through with some new kind of coordinated attack pattern. They knew our moves before we made them. 32 ships lost in less than an hour. Where are they now?" "Regrouping on the far side of the moon. Our sensors show they're preparing for a final assault on the colony's habitation dome." Hernandez's expression hardened. "Commander, you need to get out of here. That prototype of yours won't last 5 minutes against their fleet." "We'll take our chances, Captain. Hold position and tend to your wounded. The Chimera will handle the Voraxians." Hernandez started to protest, but Reyes cut the transmission. She turned to her crew, who watched her with a mixture of determination and apprehension. "This is what we built the Chimera for," she said quietly. "Lieutenant Chen, bring the quantum field generators to full power. Dr. Harrison, initiate neural network synchronization. Lieutenant Kapoor, prepare adaptive defense protocols." As the crew rushed to comply, the ship's sensors detected movement from behind New Horizons' moon. 5 Voraxian destroyer-class vessels emerged, their organic-looking hulls pulsing with energy. Behind them came the massive silhouette of a Voraxian command ship, a vessel 3 times the size of the largest human battlecruiser. "They've spotted us," reported Wang. "The destroyers are accelerating to attack formation." "Let them come," Reyes ordered, connecting fully to the Chimera's neural interface. Through it, she could feel the ship as if it were her own body, its sensors becoming her extended senses, its systems responding to her thoughts. "Commander," Chen cautioned, "conventional doctrine would suggest we maintain distance and—" "We're not fighting a conventional battle, Lieutenant," Reyes interrupted. "Navigator Evans, take us directly into their formation." The crew exchanged nervous glances, but Evans complied, guiding the Chimera straight toward the approaching Voraxian ships. "They're locking weapons," Kapoor announced. "Energy signatures indicate charged particle cannons and graviton torpedoes." "Initiate Phase 1, Reyes commanded. The lights on the Chimera dimmed momentarily as the quantum field generators diverted massive power. Outside, space itself seemed to ripple around the ship as it generated multiple quantum state echoes. phantom versions of itself existing in slightly different probability states. The Voraxian destroyers opened fire, their energy weapons and torpedoes streaking toward the Chimera. But the shots passed harmlessly through the phantom images or missed entirely as the ship's actual position remained uncertain at the quantum level. Phase 2, Rise ordered, her mind linked directly to the ship's systems through the neural interface. The Chimera's main quantum manipulator activated, projecting a field that extended outward to envelop the nearest Voraxian destroyer. Within this field, the laws of physics subtly altered. The enemy ship's energy weapons backfired, their targeting systems confused by contradictory spatial coordinates. "It's working," breathed Lieutenant Chen, watching the data stream across her console. "The quantum field is disrupting their hive mind coordination." One by one, the Chimera engaged each Voraxian destroyer, not with conventional weapons, but by manipulating the fabric of reality around them. Enemy shields failed as their frequencies were shifted out of phase. Propulsion systems misfired as spacetime distorted around their engines. Communication between the Voraxian vessels broke down as quantum interference disrupted their hive mind. From the damaged EDF ships, astonished crews watched as the strangely designed human vessel, the one they had heard was a failed experiment, systematically neutralized Voraxian destroyers that had torn through conventional battleships just hours earlier. But the Voraxian command ship recognized the threat. It launched a swarm of fighter drones, hundreds of them, converging on the Chimera from all directions. "Multiple incoming targets," warned Kapoor. "Too many for individual quantum fields." Rise nodded. "Initiate Phase 3. This was the Chimera's most radical system, one that even some of her own crew had doubted would work. The ship began to generate a recursive spacetime loop, creating a bubble of altered physics that expanded outward. Inside this bubble, causality itself became malleable. The Voraxian drones entered the field and immediately began to malfunction. Their coordinated attack patterns dissolved into chaos as some experienced time flowing forward, while others experienced it in reverse. Drones collided with each other or fired at targets that weren't there yet or had already moved. "The command ship is powering up its main weapon array," reported Wang, her voice tense. On the view screen, the massive Voraxian vessel's central section began to glow with accumulated energy. It was preparing to fire its planet-killer weapon, the same one that had carved massive scars into New Horizons' surface. "Full power to the primary quantum manipulator," Rise ordered, her mind fully integrated with the Chimera's systems now. She could feel the strain on the ship's experimental technologies, the power conduits approaching critical limits. The Voraxian command ship fired its main weapon, a concentrated beam of exotic particles designed to tear apart matter at the subatomic level. It streaked toward the Chimera, powerful enough to vaporize a conventional battlecruiser. But as it entered the Chimera's quantum field, something extraordinary happened. The beam split into thousands of harmless light fragments, its destructive potential dispersed across multiple quantum states. "Now," Rise commanded, "return to sender." The Chimera's quantum manipulators reconfigured, creating a directional inversion of spacetime that redirected the dispersed energy directly back toward the Voraxian command ship. The enemy vessel tried to evade, but the redirected energy followed it, guided by the Chimera's quantum field. When it struck, the Voraxian command ship didn't explode in a conventional sense. Instead, it seemed to implode, collapsing inward as its own weapon's energy, now reconfigured by the Chimera's quantum field, disrupted the cohesion of its matter. Silence fell across the Chimera's command center as the crew watched the massive enemy vessel disappear into a singularity of its own making, taking the remaining Voraxian forces with it. "Did we just?" Lieutenant Evans began, unable to finish his sentence. "Yes," Commander Rice confirmed, disengaging from the neural interface. "We redirected their own weapons' energy back at them, but in a state that triggered a cascading quantum collapse." Lieutenant Chen stared at the readings on her console. The collapse affected their entire fleet through their hive mind connection. They're gone. Communications Officer Lieutenant Park looked up from her station. Commander, we're receiving transmissions from all remaining EDF vessels and from the colony. They're asking what just happened. Before Rice could respond, another transmission came through, this one from Earth Command. Admiral Zhao's face appeared on screen, expression cycling through disbelief, relief, and reluctant admiration. Commander Reyes, the Admiral said slowly, our long-range sensors show that the Varaxian fleet at New Horizon has been eliminated. Reports from surviving EDF vessels credit the Chimera. Is this accurate? Yes, Admiral. Reyes replied simply. The Chimera performed exactly as designed. There was a long pause before the Admiral spoke again. The Defense Council will want a full debriefing and an explanation for why you violated direct orders. Of course, Admiral. I look forward to the opportunity to explain how quantum field manipulation can revolutionize space warfare. After another pause, Admiral Zhao added, the Council will also want to discuss accelerated production of additional Chimera-class vessels. When the transmission ended, a cheer erupted from the Chimera's crew. Lieutenant Chen approached Rice, a broad smile on her face. Did the Admiral just admit we were right all along? Rice allowed herself a small smile. In the most roundabout way possible, yes. And the court-martial for disobeying orders. Somehow I doubt that will be their priority now. Rice replied, gesturing to the view screen where the surviving EDF ships were approaching, flashing their running lights in an impromptu salute to the Chimera. Captain Hernandez of the Dauntless hailed them again. This time, his bridge crew stood at attention behind him. Commander Reyes, he said formally, on behalf of the survivors of New Horizon and the Earth Defense Fleet, we offer our profound thanks and respect. Whatever that ship of yours just did, it changed everything. As the Chimera moved to assist with rescue operations, Commander Reyes gazed out at the stars. The ship that had been mocked as an ungainly, impractical experiment had just ushered in a new era of human warfare, one where understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself was the ultimate weapon. In her mind, she was already designing the next generation of quantum ships. The Varaxians would return, and when they did, humanity would be ready with an entire fleet of vessels that could bend reality itself to defend their worlds. They had laughed at the Chimera once. No one was laughing now.